Hello, it's me Philip, and this is a Game Boy Pocket. I'll show you what I paid for it. This is it on eBay. Nintendo Game Boy Pocket, green, parts only. I paid £20 with £3.39 postage, and the description says machine powers on, games load and speaker works, but screen doesn't show anything, sold as faulty. So it's got the battery cover on there, so why would the screen not come on? So I can think of a few reasons. A, the seller doesn't know about the contrast wheel and hasn't turned it. B, the contrast wheel is faulty. C, there's a power fault to the screen and it's not getting the voltage it needs. Or D, the actual screen is faulty. Now I have another Game Boy Pocket, so I can swap the screens over, and if we go back to C, a power fault, I did cover something like this in a recent video of mine where I looked at the little transformer T1 there in a Game Boy Advance. I learned in the video that that powers the screen. You can see in my community page, I've took some oscilloscope readings of the DC input and the AC output being generated in that video. That's on my community page. But the video goes into detail how that works. So if things like this interest you, I've got 1,874 subscribers and I would love to hit 2,000 subs sometime this year. So I would appreciate if you would give us a sub if you find any of this type of things interesting. Okay, so the interesting thing about this is if you turn a Game Boy Pocket on and you turn the wheel, you'll get what you expect to see. If you turn the wheel down, the image disappears, but when I turn this off, there's actually no difference between it being on and being off. So if the wheel was turned all the way down, you would turn that on and you would think it's actually not, the screen's not coming on, but it is. You cannot tell. The only indication is that the little line there. So the seller may not know about the contrast wheel. I'm hoping it's a power fault because it's a little bit more interesting. It's going to be a short video if it's the contrast wheel. Well, it's well wrapped up. So what do you think? A, B, C or D? I think it's going to be D. There's a little bit of burn the inside of the screen. Oh, hang on, what's that? Something's, you catch the light right, there's 3 dots in there. Can you just see 3 pucker marks? So it might be a screen after all. The battery contacts look nice and clean. The contrast wheel was not all the way down. I'm going to have to buy a new screen for this. Right, take some batteries out of here. Or is it the, there's a polarizer. There's a polarizer or something. Doesn't come on. I'll put them batteries in the right way. Give them a rub. There we go. Well, I'm turning a contrast wheel and nothing is happening. So we're down to D at the moment. A damaged screen. Interesting. Let's open it up. and see what we've got. Well, that's nice and clean. The screen, the ribbon cable, looks like it's been taken out and put back in. So I think the first thing we'll do, I'm going to open that up and I'm going to give it a clean out. That looks okay to me. Yeah, there's no muck on there. I'll put some IPA. Wrong way, Philip. Right. Oh, that looks good. I think we might have a couple of issues going on here. That contrast wheel is very fragile. Sensitive. That's the word I'm looking for. It's very sensitive. Let's see if we can do something about that. So we need a bit of, it's this one. We need a bit of cleaner perhaps in there. Bit of IPA, and I'm going to blow that out with some compressed air. Try that. I don't know if it's the screen or the contrast wheel. It's either off or fully contrasted. So the next thing I'm going to try, you'll notice the indentations. So I'm going to trim off 1 millimeter off that ribbon cable so it joins at a different point in the connector and it avoids those indentations. Or I could try and not put the connector in all the way and leave a little bit sticking out the top. Yeah, it's still the same. I think rather than clutch at straws, we'll put that other screen in from this one. We'll see how that behaves. I wonder if I've got a spare screen for a pocket. I'm going to have a look in my box. No. I haven't had much trouble with Gameboy Pockets. I've had plenty of trouble with Game Boy Advances and Game Boy Colors, but not so much with Game Boy Pockets. I think if I was going to put a new screen in, I might end up just seeing how much an IPS screen is, or LCD or whatever they're called. Right, is that the same size? Yes. I wonder if I can just do it in situ. I'm not going to be able to connect the battery up. I'll put my power supply on. Right, we've got 3 volts. Right, switch on. Let's switch on here. Right, is this a contrast wheel? See, it's the contrast wheel. It's either on or off. So we'll switch off. We'll put that to one side because that's my good one. I think I'll take this board out. Now, if you have a look at that, it does seem to be some kind of goo on the back of there, which might explain why the contrast wheel isn't working very well. I think something, oh god, I think something's been spilt in here. Yeah, you can see some gunk around here. I mean, there's the goo right over that contrast wheel, which is showing some signs of corrosion perhaps. Got some IPA. And I don't think those contacts are supposed to be green. The trouble with these is you can't get in to clean them out. I wonder if I've got a replacement. I might have. Is that the same size or smaller? Oh no, it's the same. I wonder if that would work. Pins need to be cut down. Pins seem a little bit too long. But it looks like it would fit. Failing that, I've got an old Game Boy Advance with a wheel on it. Sure, that would fit. I'll put the new one on. Like I say, it's looking very green. If you could take that cap off, that grey cap, and give it a proper clean out, it would be ideal. I could take it off and soak it in alcohol, IPA. But if I'm going to the trouble of taking it off, I may as well put a new one on. I've got some WD-40 contact cleaner here, which I'll spray on. We'll give that a spray first. It might just save us the trouble. It's blown bits out, look. There's bits on the kitchen towel there. It's definitely blowing bits of muck out. We'll give that one last try, and if it doesn't work, I'll put a new wheel on. Right, let's try that. I'll go back to the original screen. It's an awful colour, isn't it? No, it's still the same. It's either off or it's just on. I kind of find the sweet spot. I haven't tested a game, but if I hear audio coming out of Tetris, I'll assume it's working. There's the Nintendo logo. I can just see it. And there's the writing, the boot screen. Yeah. Right, so we'll set the solder iron up and we'll remove that one and see if one of these new ones fits. Right, I'm going to pop some new solder on. I'm going to try my solder sucker. This is a cheap Draper one and I never seem to have much luck with it. Just doesn't seem to suck anything up. I always seem to revert back to using the solder wick. Solder wick. I'll just put a little bit of extra flux on there. They're coming out okay. I'm going to do the same on this side. I'm going to add some more leaded. I wonder if I can free this up. And then just... Yes, I can. Just quickly pull that off. Hopefully these have came off without ripping the pads. Yeah, perfect. I've got two nice clean holes and some intact pads. So this is what I've taken off. So we'll prise that open, see what it's like. Yeah, that's quite corroded in there. You're not going to get that cleaned out. Now I've replaced a volume wheel on a Game Boy Advance, and when I did, I had to bridge a couple of pins, and I'm wondering if this is going to be the same. Remember having to bridge some pins. I went on Reddit and found the answer, because the volume wheel, the replacement one, everything was dead quiet. So I'm half expecting this one to be the same. Where have I put the wheel? There it is. This is the replacement one, and it lines up like that. It's a little bit too long, but it looks okay. So we'll trim them tabs down. Let's see if this works. Trim that end one down. Right. Dab a bit of solder on there. I'll put a bit of no clean flux on. And I'm using that because I don't want too much flux sitting underneath this wheel. Okay, I might have to trim them off. I'm not sure how much space is available inside the case. Right, let's try that. It looks like there's plenty of space in there to accommodate those extra long legs. It's working perfectly, look. Right, let's try a game. Nintendo, come on, start. There we go. The contrast wheel's working, but I think there's still there's bubbles underneath the screen there. You can see 3 bubbles. And I think that might be do these screens have the polarizer on? It might be best off just buying a new screen. I mean, it works. I've proved the system works, and the new contrast wheel works lovely. But I think it could do with a new screen. I'll have a look on eBay and see how much they are. I'm just looking at this silver piece on the back. Now, the console, it must be part of a sticker, because the console, it's green plastic. It's not like paint that's peeled off. So there must be a sticker underneath there, surely. Or the top of the sticker's come off and left the bottom of the sticker. It's got to be. I don't like putting IPA on plastic, but I've got a little bit of WD-40, which I'll spray in the can, and I'll see if I can peel this sticker off. There we go. It is a sticker. Just trying to remove the residue. The rest of it's nice and clean. I'll clean the buttons up. That's much better than the silver markings on it. Right, well, I've put it back together for a test, and it looks like the start button isn't working. Left to right does, but the start button's not. So we'll have to have a look at that. I did clean the pads, and I did clean the pads on the circuit board before I put a couple of screws in. So I don't think it's going to be something quite so simple as cleaning. Trouble is, I've got to take the blooming thing out again. Start and select, which is these two. The obvious thing is to just give them another bit of a rub with some IPA. Rub them on a bit of paper. I don't remember rubbing these ones on a bit of paper, to be fair. So that's all it might need. Rub that. They look quite good. Try that then. No. Oh dear. A proper fault. I'm sure the start and select just go straight to the CPU. Right, let's have a closer look. Those pads look fine to me, but it looks as if they go up here. There's a bit of corrosion there. I'm pretty sure they come up to, they might even come up to pins 1. The first set of pins. I hope there's no corrosion behind that card slot, because that's going to be a big job. Right, this is the schematic, and we've got start and select. Brilliant. Just says D2 STA and P13. P13, I wonder if that's on the chip. Main SOC, that's A13. P13 goes to sheet joypad here, so this is it. So it's pin 70 on the IC, should go to the start. Write this down really. 140, 64, 65, so 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70. So this pin should go to the start button. 68, 69, 70. So if I jam my multimeter in there between 70 and 71 and hit the start, so there is, you can't see it, but there is a connection between start and that. So at least on start we do reach the CPU. DA2 STA, DA2A, DA2B. So they're the name of the buttons. Button signal detection. DA2SEL, DA2R goes to a diode. They all go to the same diode by the looks of it. And then to P15, which is on the chip. C notes 1.2. That's earlier notes. Used a Panasonic, blah blah blah. So I'm looking for SOT23, 5 or 6 footprint. Right, let's find that diode. So it looks like they all go to different pins on the diode and then come out to pin 2 and then go to test point. Here we go, test point, look, 46. So I need to find test point 46. Looks like it's all going to be on this side of the board. I think I might have jinxed myself. And I mentioned earlier, I hope there's not corrosion underneath this. You can just see there's a DA2. There's a corroded via. Now I don't know which one is pin 2, but if they all come out, if this is pin 2 going to the corroded via, that might be why they're not working. So I'll have to thread something through there See if I can get it tacked onto this one without any bridges, and we'll see. That's going to be difficult. And we'll see where it goes. Oh, there's P15, look. So I've got P15, which I think's corroded, and that should come down to the start button, and it doesn't, because on the schematic there you can see, although it comes through the diode, so you wouldn't get continuity, but I'm going to hazard a guess that's what's wrong. That's in the worst possible place. You can see that this pin, that's got to be pin 2 if it goes to P, because that's P15 on the other side. Uh-oh. That is working. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. It's annoying having them on the other side of the board. So P15, where does it go? It goes to the chip, doesn't it? P15, so P15, test point P15, which is where we're at, should go up to pin 68 on that chip. So this P15 should come to pin 68, 65, 66, 67, 68, and it's not. If I stick that in that side, am I losing connection through the wire? No. So I'm coming out of the diode through to here, but then I'm losing it between there and the main chip. I've got a horrible feeling P15 is going to go straight to there, back through the board, and if it does, it comes up way under there, although I'm not convinced that that's just not all ground. We'll have to try and find some board scans. Right, this is the board layout. It's a bit funny, but there's my diode I'm looking at, and it goes through the board there to test point 15, but that's just for the test point. It comes along here up to this bottom one here, which is this one, because this side of the board, this side of the image is being flipped, and then it goes up there to that one, which is this one. So from here across to here, and then this first wire on here, which is here, and then it goes to there, which is here, and through the board to the pin. So we'll go straight along there, and we'll come out on this one. So test point 15 should meet up there, because then it goes up this trace to here, to there, and then it goes underneath the board and it re-emerges here, and then goes to there for the CPU. So I'm missing from there to there. That's what I'm missing. So I'm going to put a temporary wire on there to see if we can get that start button working, and test the rest of the system and the rest of the buttons, because I may have to take this cartridge slot off. I might just be lucky enough to get a trace wire underneath there, and it might just come out the bottom of this cartridge slot, but there might be just enough space for us to bring it to here and tack it onto that via, if I'm lucky. So if I put a bit of, just hoping it's going to bend and come out somewhere. It's going in. It's definitely going in somewhere. I cannot see it though, but I can't see it. You can just see it right in the centre of the screen there. I'm not going to have any luck, not with that. So back to the original plan. We'll turn that up. We want P15. So I'm just running it round the side of that connector down to P15 there, and tack that on. I can put some solder mask on later. Let's put that together roughly and see if it's made any improvements. So if your start and select buttons aren't working on a Game Boy Pocket, and the contacts are nice and clean, and the rubber pad is undamaged, unfortunately it points to corrosion underneath your cartridge slot. Cross your fingers for us. Look, I think it worked. Yes. Right. So we've got left, right, up and down. That's all working. We'll start the game with start. That's intermittent. Button A is not working. B's working, but A is not. Select, which shows and hides the next brick, that's working. But A and B are intermittent as well. Excellent. More trouble. This is the worst colour Game Boy Pocket I've ever seen, and it's causing us so many troubles. Right, let's have a look at A and B, because A and B have got a little bit of corrosion on. I don't know if it's corrosion or a lost pad. This is A, but it's got quite a bit of a raised bit of corrosion there. B was working, but it was intermittent, and that's got the same build up. Right, fiberglass pen. You can feel it catching it. I'm just putting some IP on here. Right, we'll try that. No. That needs a hard press. But that one's not working. Still not working. That one's working with a fair press on it. But A is not working. Let's have a look at this. So here's A and B. It comes to there. A comes to here, and it comes down to here. Now you can see them on the board. You can actually see the traces. So that one's working, and the bottom one comes down to this one, and that one's not working. Got no continuity from there to there, so that wire looks rather suspect. So I want the smallest wire on there through the other side, I don't think it's going to go through there. It's full of green. We're through. We are through on the other side. I think that's got it. Yes. Right, that's a very small trace repair there. I've kept it small because I don't want it to interfere with the button. This is taking me ages for, let's face it, it's an awful colour. And the screen, although it's working, isn't the best. Now the B button that I have to press down quite hard might be okay. Once the screws in the motherboard are in, it should be okay. You've got to wait for a little bit before you press start. Still nothing. Oh no. I was sure that would have fixed that. Right, I think we'll have to trace this properly and see if we can go back to the chip. Right, so where are we? Button A is here, and it comes along to here, which we've done. Quite happy with that. Check the bottom one. The bottom one should come down to there. Right, well the top one does work, but the bottom one isn't coming down to here. Now I assumed, I'm definitely on the right place, I assumed that it was this corroded wire was the problem, but it might not be. It might be the pads. Both those pads cannot be faulty. Both of them. So this pad and this pad should join together on this trace. I'm assuming that's the copper trace. Multimeter, you're bloody hopeless. Yeah. So it is. There must be a break there. I wonder if I can just bridge that with a bit of solder. I'm running out of options. You might be able to get a replacement button to go over the top. Or I think you can get some copper sticky pads. So, but because I haven't got those things, I'm going to see if I can just put a bit of solder on. Perhaps take off the excess. No, that's no good. Don't have much of a choice other than to put a little bit of copper wire from there to there. But it might affect how the button gets pressed. I can put it on. If it doesn't work and I have to come up with something else, I can always take it back off. Yeah, I've got it there. Should I put one on the bottom of here? So I don't know if this is going to work now because I've added some extra depth to those pads. Unless I add extra depth to the other two pads that I haven't touched. I wonder if that would work out. Build them all up with some solder. So the two pads I've just worked on there, they should have continuity. And they do. This is taking a bit longer than I thought it was going to take. So much for faulty blooming contrast wheel. That was the easy part. Right, Nintendo. Yes. B just needs a little bit more of a press. I wonder why. I'm going to have a look at B one more time because A was working fine. I wonder if only one of the pads on B is working. So these are in pairs. Ah, look. I think that's what the problem is. I think only one of these, presumably this one's working. One of these is not working. They are, but they're not connected. I'm going to hazard a guess and say it's this one. So I'm going to do what I did on the other one and put a very small wire on. See, that one's connected, but that one's not. And that's why I'm having to press down a little bit harder. I'm glad I took the time to have another look at that. Yep, brilliant. Clean that up. Right, test number 397. Look at that, brilliant. Left, right, up and down. Yeah, I'd be quite happy. I'd be quite happy if I bought that as is. I just need to secure that trace wire down. Right, I've put some blue solder mask on that little trace wire there just to stop it from moving about. And I can put that back together now. While I do that, take a look at this. This is quite possibly going to be my next project. It's an open source scan converter and it has some kind of red tint to the output. So it comes with the OSSC and a remote, and the seller says the unit was working fine up to a few weeks ago when it began displaying a red screen which was intermittent when displayed and has now become permanent. I am not sure if the firmware needs to be updated or it's a hardware fault. And she was quite happy to accept my offer of £30 plus £2.99 postage. So if you want to see that, don't forget to subscribe, because that should be coming up in the near future. But in the meantime, we'll get this put back together. So I don't really know what to do with this one. I did have a look on eBay while I was waiting for the blue glue to dry, but there was no cheap replacement screens. I don't want to spend time putting... It's a tough one because the green colour is a bit awful, so I don't want to spend time reshelling it and putting an IPS screen or whatever in there. But I do feel that this screen is either on its way out or just not very appealing. So with this one working, what would you do with it? I'm tempted just to sell it on for what I paid for it. It's not all about making a profit or anything. It's just buying them broken, fixing them, enjoying the fix, making a video, and then moving on to the next one. Now I could sell, now that I've got this one, this green one, I could sell this clear one, which is much nicer, and keep the green one as a working spare. This one needs the sticker off. It looks much better with the sticker off, especially when the sticker's in that condition. So a bit of WD-40 on there to take that off. I should have done that when it was open. So I think that's it for today's video. We've had a faulty wheel, faulty contrast wheel, corroded wire, and we've had to repair some control pads. All in all, it's gone quite well. It's a shame the screen isn't a little bit better, but never mind. That is working spot on. So that's it. Thank you very much for watching. What would you do? If I can get a screen for a few pound, I might replace it. It'll not be in a video though. Or I keep it for working spares and I sell this nicer one. I'll probably sell this nicer one. If the OSSC thing interests you, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next one. Thanks for watching.